My name is George Kubai, and I'm a recent graduate from Brown University. And I just graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Biomedical Engineering. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak with you all today and give some words of wisdom on behalf of the Kenyan diaspora graduates of 2021, especially following those two amazing speeches by our Honorable Ambassador and Lena. So I was born in Kenya and I moved here when I was 8 years old. So to be here today with an Ivy League degree after having watched my mother's struggle with immigration for so long is a testament for God's goodness. And today, instead of just talking about my academic journey and my future plans, I wanted to take this time to talk a little bit about joy, which is something we all need. So I heard this story of an airplane pilot. He was flying over the Tennessee mountains and he points out a lake to his co-pilot and he says, "Do you see that little lake over there? When I was a kid, I used to sit in that rowboat over there, down there fishing. And every time a plane would fly overhead, I would look up and I would wish I was flying. And now today, every time I fly over that lake, I wish I was in a rowboat fishing." How many of us can relate to this feeling? We go after things because we think they will make us happy, only to find that when we get there, there's always something better. And as graduates, it's easiest to relate to this feeling. We've worked all of our lives for this moment, and now we're here. So it's easy for us to be riddled with questions about what is next in life and miss out on the joy of this moment right here. When I was in middle school here in the US, I was convinced that I just needed to get to high school and I would be happy. And then when I got to high school, I realized that the high school had still had its faults. So this changed. And I was now convinced that I just needed to get to college. And there I would have all the freedom I needed to finally be happy. As a graduating senior here at Brown, the mountain standing between me and my joy became finding a job. I was convinced that once I find a job, I'll finally have that joy. And now that I've accomplished that and found my post-grad job, there's still questions about what comes after that. But in all of these things, I have learned one very key lesson, and that is the secret to lasting joy. And this lesson is the secret to lasting joy is contentment. And I hope that by the end of this short speech that I'm going to give, that you too will be able to see that joy is found in the ability to be content. One of the best lessons in contentment for me is found in the Bible, in the book of Philippians. And the writer of this book is Paul. And at this time, he's writing this book while sitting in a prison, awaiting execution for false charges due to religious persecution at the time. And he's writing this letter to his fellow Christians. And he says this, he says, "I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I know I have learned what it is to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want." And here, Paul is not speaking of contentment as this state of complacency or even indifference to his situation. Rather, he's speaking of contentment as this idea that right here, right now, he can find joy in all of his situations, regardless of what is going on externally. As graduates, we find ourselves in what I like to call a now what moment in life. It's this unfamiliar place where we don't quite know what life has to offer next, whether that's career-wise, grad school, location, family, everything is up in the air. And it's easiest in these now what moments to tell ourselves that our joy will not come until we can answer all of these questions. But this story of Paul teaches us a very simple secret to finding lasting joy, and that is contentment, finding contentment right where we are. See, joy can be an elusive pursuit if we base it on changing factors because there will always be something better. Once we get that dream job, there's always something better. Once you get into that dream school, there's always something better after that. Once you make the right amount of money, even then, there's always something better. But real joy is found in when we learn to be content. So, Kenyan graduates of 2021, after this incredible feat that you have accomplished of graduating when all the odds were stacked against us, let us take on something even bigger. Let us learn to be content in the rowboat that we're fishing in now, rather than looking at the planes up above. And that, my friends, is a joy that no one can take away from you, especially in this time as we celebrate our graduation. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
George, are you going to make an altar call after that speech? Ready for that.
Thank you, George, for those wonderful words. It was timely. I watched your speech during graduation, and wow, you're going far. Keep on.
Thank you so much.
Be contented. Be contented, as you said, and I know you'll reach places. For every one of us who are here, the graduates who just gone through the process, I believe we have had words of wisdom from Ambassador Amayo. We've had words of wisdom from Lina. We have had words of wisdom from George Kubai, and we have taken something home, something that will work going forward, knowing that what we've taken from these three speakers